I guess while we wait for everything to load up, I'm Christine. My program is called Music Journalism and Entrepreneurship. And I created a documentary film about artists in the music industry and how it's changing. Alright, so first of all, I'd like to thank my advisors, Steve McAlpine, Fred Warden, and Vivian's not here.
Fred's here and also on the Interdisciplinary Studies Committee. And has been very, very active in a lot of your proposals in the past.
So, has anyone here ever met your favorite band or musician? Oh, a lot of hands here. All right, I saw your hand first. Can you tell me about it?
Well, it was very exciting because
Right.
I love them so much. I met them twice now.
Who is it?
Big Time Rush.
All right. So, how'd you get to meet them?
We went to New York and they were doing a free concert with Macy's. So we went and we got lucky and we had to pay a couple $100, but we still got to meet them.
Oh, wow. All right. Anyone else? Yeah.
Black Eyed Peas. I want tickets on the radio.
You want tickets? All right. Who else? Matt?
Well, not really still my favorite band, but Against Me. I was just standing outside, and the drummer came out and talked to us for a good while.
Cool. Okay. Anyone a bit older? No parents, teachers met their favorite bands?
Oh yeah, I did.
Come on,
I did.
let's hear it.
Not that I'm that much older. I met, I don't know if any of you remember Dave Matthews.
Oh.
I met him, he was tour manager, and hung out with him backstage.
Great. Fred?
I really am older. I met Harrison once.
You did? How'd you do that?
Well, I was going to take tabla lessons in Los Angeles in 1967, and he was hooked up with Ravi Shankar doing this school of Indian music, and he came down one day, and there he was.
Nice. All right, so the point of this is now with social networking and the kind of album sales, the likelihood of you meeting your favorite band has increased significantly. And it used to be back, 10, 20, 30 years ago. Bands like Against Me, for instance, they're a punk band, and they have to use things like social networking in order to meet with their fans and create a relationship with these fans. And because of the kind of album sales, people have become more creative in the tactics they use in order to generate revenue and to build a fan base. As I said before, there's zero barrier to entry. Therefore, anyone can be a musician, anyone can be a band, anyone can post a video on YouTube. So because of that, they have to compete with a lot of different people in order to get those fan base. You have to compete with every user on YouTube to decide they want to make a video. And then because of that, people's favorite band can be Dave Matthews, it can be Big Time Rush, be Against Me. Your favorite band can be as big or as small as you like it to be, as long as that band's paying attention to you in some way. And there's more niche markets because of this. So every genre has their mainstays. Black Eyed Peas, for instance, but every genre also has the person on their guitar playing in the middle of the subway, and that can be someone's favorite band as well. So because of all these new changes with social media and the internet, my question is, what is the change relationship between music artists and the fans of the 21st century public? And then what does that mean to be a brand in the music industry today? So in order to answer this question, I decided to film a documentary in order to understand the point of view from not only the fans, but the musicians, from the parents even, the people that work within the music industry, and anyone else that becomes a stakeholder within the music industry, to understand how this relationship has changed over the past 10 years or so. And then with all that information, I came up with the conclusion of what it means to be a brand these days and what artists have to do in order to maintain, to stay relevant, for instance, in the music industry. So the documentary I made is called Always Wanting More: Access, Entitlement, Expectations of Popular Music Bands in the Age of Social Media. And I'm going to show you a 1-minute trailer. Well, maybe not. Let's try like there we go. Welcome to a world where meeting your favorite band goes from near impossibility to an expectation. Where instead of waiting for a TV interview, you can find out anything you need to know in an instant. Where anyone can create celebrity gossip or BS. Where kids dream of being tour managers and selling merch when they grow up. Where anyone can be a journalist or a photographer. Welcome to a world where all these expectations and all this access can get out of hand.
Open the door already!
What I'm saying is, if there was a cop right here, usually there would be. And so I doing that.
That's what I just said. That's okay. I said I'm gonna get
Don't
arrested.
encourage her.
And then hope you
Where fondness becomes fandom, fans become friends, hobbies become jobs, and curiosity becomes obsession. Welcome to a world where everyone is always wanting more. Alright, so the process it took me to create this movie. Over 80 interviews, some that were only 5 minutes, some that were 30, 40 minutes long. 10 months of filming in over 6 different states, including New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, DC, and Virginia. There was 8 hours of footage, as I said, some interviews being only 5 minutes long. And I filmed about 60, maybe 70 concerts and festivals in order to acquire all these footage from all these different bands, parents, people working within the music industry, and everyone else that was involved in some way within the music industry. So the disciplines that were used in order to create this movie, music played a role, but in the sense that music was a topic, not in the sense that music was a discipline. The sound and the genre became less important and more of the people behind the music. For instance, as I said, favorite band can be anything, anyone playing any kind of instrument, anyone doing any kind of creative piece. It doesn't necessarily have to focus on music per se. I look more at American studies in the sense of how music influences culture in general and how music plays a big role in the way people view themselves. I use sociology to understand the different, especially on cyberculture, and understand the way people use the internet and how it's changed over the past 10 years to create artists and fan relationships. I use psychology to talk about adolescent culture and adolescent identity and how children and adolescents identify with music and how they use that to shape their identity. Marketing is a big aspect of this because most of these things lead in together to create a brand. And branding is a really big marketing term to understand how different corporations or entities or people in general use the talents they have or the talents they don't have to create their whole entire brand and identity. Ethics and philosophy come into play because the idea of a brand is different when you're talking about Coca-Cola or toothpaste or Ford, for instance. When you talk about branding an individual or a group of individuals, what exactly does that mean and what is the integrity behind that? And then there's economics, of course, which leads into marketing as well in terms of album sales and decline of album sales and what that means for the music industry in general. So, the overarching concept of a brand is a big focus within this. As I said, an artist these days has to appeal to their fans in a way they may not have had to in the past 10 years, especially with social networking sites. An artist has to be present on Twitter, on Facebook, on MySpace. They have to use all these sites and they have to present themselves in a certain way in order to get the response from the fans. Especially when you're targeting a niche market, you have to make sure you fall into that niche market in some way. So you must shape and mold yourself in a way to appeal to that audience. And then with that, it means you're establishing a new whole. As I said before, brand is an overarching concept. And you will be establishing a new whole by creating yourself as a brand. In addition, there is the idea of 360 deals, which is a multiple rights deal, which is when a corporation or a record label can take a portion of every part of an artist's sales, including touring, merchandise sales, CD sales, and combine them together and take a portion of that in order to generate revenue for the artist. The idea of a 360 deal is a mathematic concept, but it's more of an idea of creating a new whole in terms of a band is now a corporation with different segments. And then building common ground means the redefinition. And in this case, it's redefinition of what it means to be a musician and what it means to be an artist nowadays. What it means now is not only do you have to play your instruments or practice, you have to tour, you have to sell music, you have to sell merchandise. You have to be on all these social networking sites. You have to give a piece of yourself in the same way that the labels are taking a piece of everything. You have to give a piece of yourself in every way. So as I said, ways to change the relationship between music artists and fans in the 21st century public is significant and large. There's been no other time that I have seen, at least from my research, where artists have been this accessible to their fans. And what does it mean to be a brand in the music industry today? It means you have to give every part of yourself in order to achieve the same level or much lower success as many will have seen 10, 20 years from now ago.
Yeah.
Questions?
Do you think it is more dangerous to be celebrity?
What I think is not that it's more dangerous per se. I think it just means you have to be more careful. I think there is more opportunities where things could go awry, for instance. But I think maybe if you don't say, "Hey, I'm gonna be at this spot right now," and you say, "Hey, I was at this spot previously," it might save you a lot of grief. I don't think these fans, for the most part, are out to hurt these musicians. They really just want to be friends with them. They want to be close with them. I think they love them a lot. I don't think they're like. I don't think it's a lot of instances where it's like, I hate you. I want to hurt you. I want to. Yeah, it's more of I really want to be friends with you, and it just kind of gets a little too much sometimes, basically. Anything else? Yeah, Matt?
Were you analyzing like a specific genre, like pop punk?
Yeah, I looked at primarily pop bands just because I'm familiar with the genre from the last 5 years. I spent working with my magazine. I see that there's a few instances in the interviews where it kind of stems beyond pop punk a bit to different genres, like subgenres. But I see kind of a consistency amongst most genres where it's more of a we have to be more public. It doesn't really seem to matter too much. Like I said before, it doesn't seem to matter too much what the genre is anymore. I think people have to be more public. For instance, I go in a movie, I talk about how Steven Tyler has a Twitter account, Paul McCartney has a Twitter account. There's a lot of artists these days that may not necessarily, you may not imagine would want to be this public, but because they have to be now in order to stay relevant, and a lot of people do use Twitter and Facebook, and they even update themselves personally, not just like they're just like directly updating or someone is hired to update for them. Yeah.
What do you think of the quality of content that musicians these days are producing? Do you think it's increased because you have a lot more people to compete against, or it's decreased because it's so much easier to get famous these days just by video on TV?
There's a section of my movie that kind of talks about this and how some people insist that it's gonna, like the cream will rise to the top, and because there's so many artists out there that the best bands will end up on top. And other people say it's just becoming more and more oversaturated. But I find that more importantly than the quality, for instance, because I think the fan is who decides how the quality. I don't think I have any place or anyone else has any place to say that your favorite band is not good enough, for instance. But I think what's more important is the bands that are really out there doing this and want to do this will continue doing it because there's far less money in it. You're not going to have a platinum record in a weekend like you used to be able to, and because of that, I think the bands that really want to be doing music are the ones that are going to stay in it. So I guess more of the integrity of it will be increased just because there's no other points really besides to be in it anymore.
One last question?
I guess that's you.
Okay. What, from your perspective on what you've learned, what would be a dream job for you?
For me?
Yeah.
With doing my documentary, I discovered that I really love research. I was a URA scholar as well. I would love to analyze adolescent identity and brand culture and understand how that plays into different aspects of the music industry, because there's a lot of market research obviously done in terms of like albums, but I think people don't do enough to understand the way identity plays and culture plays into it. And I would love to do that and then give my findings, for instance, to record labels so they can understand better how these artists are connecting with their fans and how these fans feel about these artists. Yeah, and before I finish, I guess I'm showing a 10-minute version of my movie at 2:15, I believe.
Can we do that over the break?
Yeah.
If we're on time, could we show a little? Would you like to see a little bit more of the film? There's a longer segment.
Okay. Yeah. All right. And you do have a job.
I do have a job. I started at Mission Media, which is an advertising and communications firm. 3 days after graduation as a project manager.
Oh, wow. All right.